City, capping the Democrats' stunning ascent from little-known state lawmaker just a year ago to one of the most talked-about politicians in the country. Mamdani, a 34-year-old assembly member, defeated former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa in Tuesday's election. With the victory, the Democratic Socialist will etch his place in history as the city's first Muslim mayor, the first of South Asian heritage, and the first born in Africa. He will also become the city's youngest mayor in more than a century when he takes office on January 1st.
This is what democracy looks like.
Mamdani is also the city's most liberal mayor in generations, sure to face scrutiny from Republicans who have eagerly cast him as a threat and the face of a more radical Democratic Party.
Good evening, everybody, and the head of story, it's been a good evening for everybody, not just the Democratic Party. But what a night for the Democratic Party. A party that is in its ascendancy. A party that's on its toes, no longer on its heels. From coast to coast, sea to shining sea. But it was not just a victory tonight for the Democratic Party, it was a victory for the United States of America, for the people of this country and the principles that our founding fathers lived and died for. And so we're proud. We're proud here in California to be part of this narrative this evening. We're proud of the work that the people in the state of California did tonight to send a powerful message to an historic president. Donald Trump is an historic president. He is the most historically unpopular president in modern history. In every critical category, Donald Trump is underwater.
Virginia now has its first female governor-elect. Former U.S. Representative Abigail Spanberger has won the race, defeating the Republican, the incumbent Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, who was looking to make history of her own. She would have been the first female black governor anywhere in America. Spanberger has a very interesting background. She's a former CIA case officer who served undercover overseas, became a businesswoman, and then ran for and won a House seat. That was part of the wave that allowed Democrats to take House control in 2018. They are looking to replicate what she helped lead then. She is more of a centrist Democrat. She is not of that progressive wave that Democrats have been paying a lot of attention to lately. And some Democrats are hoping that can kind of set a pattern for them to retake the House next year. As for Winsome Earl Sears, she never got Donald Trump's backing. He did not endorse her. He did not even say her name during a tele-rally last night for that race. So Abigail Spanberger now wins the Virginia governor's race in what was essentially a referendum of sorts on the first Trump administration's 9 months.
Democratic Representative Mikey Sherrill has been elected governor of New Jersey, defeating Republican candidate Jack Ciattarelli, who was endorsed by President Donald Trump. Sherrill, a Navy veteran who represented a northern New Jersey district in the U.S. House of Representatives for 4 terms, will be the state's second female governor. She will succeed term-limited Democratic Governor Phil Murphy, marking the first time since 1961 that one party has won 3 consecutive terms in the New Jersey governor's mansion. The race was closely watched as a potential bellwether for the 2026 midterms.
That's right, folks. Yes, in key off-year elections, in the governor's elections, state elections, and other local offices across the country, the Democrats made significant gains. As you heard, in Virginia, Abigail Spanberger defeated Winsome Earl Sears with approximately 57% of the vote. And man, look, I don't support either party particularly, but good Lord, I am so glad Winsome Earl Sears lost. All this tap dancing this woman did for MAGA and for the right wing, they right wingers love to talk about how they don't support identity politics, but they sure love elevating a black woman or any just minority who talks down on the black community, and that's exactly what she did. She loved talking about what the black community wasn't doing right. And, you know, the Republicans, well, they can't wait to get somebody black and or female to launder their most racist and sexist ideas through. That's why they loved Candace Owens for so long. But now Candace Owens has gone off the reservation. She's decided she wants some level of autonomy. I guess since she married that rich dude, she doesn't need money anymore. She's more independent in her thoughts and is willing to attack Israel. And even just recently said that she regrets telling her viewers to vote for Donald Trump, which I'm like, wow, that's I'm surprised she was willing to say that, sister. But hey, when she's right, she's right. I respect what she's saying. But yeah, Abigail Spanberger is Virginia's first female governor. She was actually in the CIA. Right. The CIA, that CIA. Which it just sort of goes to show you that for so many years, a lot of us, especially those of us on the left, have complained about the level of influence that the CIA has over our media and our government. And instead of sort of rejecting that, the Democratic Party has sort of leaned into it and embraced the CIA and the surveillance state. And that was actually one of the more underrated things that helped Donald Trump get elected in 2024 was that there was the perception that the deep state was against Donald Trump. That's the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, and these sort of secret cabal organizations that John F. Kennedy talked at length about wanting to get rid of before he was assassinated, allegedly by them. Allegedly. I said allegedly. You can't come and get me and put me in the black van if I say allegedly, okay? But anyway, Winsome Earl Sears was a crappy candidate who basically was just your garden variety Republican in black woman face. And so Spanberger, even a CIA establishment, deep state apparatchik like Spanberger could easily beat somebody in that, just because Winsome Earl Sears was such a loathsome and is such a loathsome individual. Also in the lieutenant governor's race, Ghazala Hashimi won, becoming the state's first Muslim woman to be lieutenant governor. And now there was actually a bizarre race in Virginia where the attorney for the attorney general's job, Jay Jones actually got into a lot of trouble, and a lot of people, even Democrats, were saying that he needed to step down because there were leaked comments of him saying that he wanted to like kill his opponent's children. I am not joking, folks. Look this up. Jay Jones actually said that he wanted to kill his opponent's children. He said he was joking. It was a joke. But many people thought it was wholly inappropriate to joke that way. And he won anyway. Just goes to show you how turned off the general public has been by the way that Donald Trump and the Republicans have been governing. You know, 10, 15 years ago, a scandal like the Jay Jones scandal would have been more than disqualifying. But even people who said and posed that him saying that he wanted to kill his opponent's children, even in jest, in leaked comments, was disqualifying, they still voted for him just because they didn't want to vote for the Republicans. Man, do you know how bad you got to feel if even the people who says that your opponent is should be disqualified still vote for him just because they think you are so bad? Good Lord. That is terrible. Not a good day for the Republicans at all. The Democrats expanded their majority in the House in Virginia, going up from 51 seats to 64 seats. This is unusually large. The margin is unusually large for Virginia gubernatorial races. Virginia is pretty much a purple state, but in this case, again, Winsome Earl Sears, who wrapped herself in sort of the MAGA right-wing black woman face, was such a loathsome individual that even a CIA cutout like Abigail Spanberger could still win in a night that was really about the left more than anything else, coming out and showing their behinds and actually getting out to vote, particularly young people. In New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill defeated Jack Chiaretti 56-43. Now, that was actually thought to be a much closer race than it actually was. People were saying that, man, it's only 1 point. It's only a 1 point difference. No. Mikey Sherrill, who was a Navy captain, again, another sort of military-industrial complex, standard corporate Democrat, beat Jack Chiaretti by 13 points. That was not expected. That result actually gives the Democrats a strong showing in a state that had the Republicans had made some real gains in over the years. They had a Republican governor in Chris Christie, who was relatively popular for a while there. The Democrats also expanded their majority in the General Assembly, going from 52 seats to 57 seats. So Mikey Sherrill's win is, like I said, just the ultimate repudiation of MAGA. It really is. New Jersey, like I said, of all the blue states, New Jersey had the most potential to start trending towards the red. And, you know, the way that Trump and Elon Musk and MAGA and just this whole cabal, the odiousness of people like Stephen Miller and the press secretary, I think her name is Caitlin something, and just all these people, Pam Bondi, all these people, they have become so odious and so toxic that they are definitely dragging down the entire party with them. And it's sort of remarkable to see. The margin of victory is significantly larger than the previous contest between the same people. So it just, again, shows you that whatever gains the Republicans were making in New Jersey, you know, you could thank Trump for that. And, of course, the main course of the night, the absolute main event of Tuesday's election, the New York City race for mayor, the biggest city in the country, the biggest economy, you know, everything, you know, New York City is what we are basically, our lives revolve around New York City in some capacity, even in a country as large as the United States that has Chicago, that has LA. New York is still New York, you know. And Zohran Mamdani won the mayor's office, becoming the first Muslim mayor, the youngest in over a century, and the first of South Asian descent. His vote total was over 50%. That's one of the things that surprised people, because people thought, oh, this could be a close race if just Curtis Sliwa, who was running from the Guardian Angels, who was running as a Republican, if Curtis Sliwa would just drop out and allow his votes to go to Andrew Cuomo, then, you know, maybe Cuomo would have a chance. And now we're seeing, no, that's not the case. Again, Zohran Mamdani won over 50% of the votes. And so that means that even if Curtis Sliwa had dropped out of the race, Andrew Cuomo still would have lost. It would have been a little closer, but he still would have lost. And so, again, Andrew Cuomo was one of the most odious figures of the COVID era. He actually got paid off to put people sick with COVID in nursing homes and killed thousands of elderly people in New York during the pandemic. This was something that was horrific not covered nearly enough, in my opinion. As you know, his brother, Chris Cuomo, was on at CNN at the time and did a lot to help launder Andrew Cuomo's reputation. He also had 12 or 13 sexual harassment cases against him. Overall, Andrew Cuomo is just a odious human being, an awful, awful person in so many ways. And even Donald Trump came out to endorse Cuomo. Remember, Donald Trump is a New York guy. Trump and the Cuomos go way back. And so you had really like this super team of awful all coming out against this young Muslim man. You had a lot of racism, people purposely mispronouncing his name, calling him a terrorist, a jihadist. Now, mind you, Zohran Mamdani is 34 years old. He was a rapper. His mom used to make softcore porn movies. But right-wing and even some Democrats were making super racist remarks about him, saying he was going to instill Sharia law, that he was making it out like he was in favor of 9/11, that he was a terrorist. Again, this dude is about as secular as he gets. He marches in the gay pride parade. And so the messages just got mixed up. He's a secular communist, but he's a Muslim extremist. Those two things don't go together, folks. They do not. Communists are anti-religion, okay? You can't argue he's a Muslim extremist and a communist socialist at the same time, especially when you see that he's marching in the gay pride parade and you see his wife. She's not veiled. His wife is a young, attractive woman who dresses like a young, attractive woman. Like I said, his mom used to make softcore porn, Kama Sutra movies. He was a rapper. But really, more than anything else, the fact that Cuomo had so much support was about one thing: Israel. Israel. Because Zohran Mamdani condemned Israel's genocide in Gaza, all the superfans from the Democrats and the Republicans got together to basically try to take down this person, just like they tried to take down anybody who has been critical of the state of Israel and its policy towards the Palestinians. So just once again, it goes to show you who really controls our media, who really controls our politicians. Now, one thing that has not been spoken about very much, but definitely needs to be talked about, is that there's this perception that black people, particularly black men, are the most conservative people in the world. And, you know, black feminists especially love to dog out black men and talk about how we're basically all Trump supporters or something. Black men were the strongest supporter of this democratic socialist, Zohran Mamdani. Black men. Not black women, not Hispanic women, not white women, not white men, not Hispanic men, black men. He got the largest percentage of the black male vote than any other candidate. And so this race was important because his victory is seen as part of a progressive wave. His platform included rent freezes, universal child care, free buses, etc. Now, New York is very heavily Democrat, but it's a lot of corporate Democrats because of Wall Street, a lot of Andrew Cuomo type Democrats. This win signals very strong progressive grassroots momentum. And let me just say this too, because, you know, like I say, I'm here every day. I'm here every day, y'all. I'm here every day. There's a lot of talk about socialism and how Mamdani's a socialist and socialism never works and all this other stuff. Again, and I say this with all due respect to y'all listening here and over across the border, and whoever's watching in the rest of the country. I know that I got people from California who watch sometimes and other places. Americans are the most propagandized people on the planet. More so than North Koreans. Like, seriously, the way we talk about communism, socialism, whatever, it is based on the fact that our media is owned by the billionaire elite class. Simple as that. When billionaires own and control everything, this is what they're saying. This is why these things come out of your mouth. Because you listen to the billionaire corporate media. Zohran Mamdani is not the first socialist mayor of New York City. And it will not be, should I say. How many of you knew that? Because lots of different reports have said he's going to be the first socialist mayor of New York City. That's not true at all. That is not true at all. How many of you have heard of a man named Fiorello LaGuardia? Huh? Have you ever heard of Fiorello LaGuardia? How about this? Have you heard of LaGuardia Airport? Or what about LaGuardia Community College or LaGuardia Place or countless buildings all over New York City that are named after him? Or Fiorello LaGuardia High School of Music and Performing Arts? Well, Fiorello LaGuardia, the man that has half of New York named after him, was a socialist. Yeah, he was a socialist. Yes, he was. He was a part of the Socialist Party of America. Then he became a part of Robert La Follette, another leftist politician's progressive party during the early 20th century. Eventually, he ran as a Republican back when the Republicans weren't crazy, you know, for the same reason Zohran ran as a Democrat, you know. But LaGuardia, Fiorello LaGuardia, for those who don't know, is frequently considered one of the greatest mayors in American history. Yes, the greatest mayors in American history. In 1993, when a panel of scholars and journalists all got together at the University of Illinois, Chicago, guess who they named as the greatest big city mayor in American history? Huh? Who wants to guess who it was? It was Fiorello LaGuardia. That's right. The man named the greatest mayor in American history was a socialist. When LaGuardia came into office in 1934, he had 5 main goals: restore the financial health and break free from the banksters in New York City, expand federally funded work relief programs for the unemployed. That is socialism, folks. End corruption in government and racketeering in key sectors of the economy. Replace patronage with merit-based civil service. Modernize the infrastructure, especially transportation and parks. My God, that's a left-wing populist agenda. LaGuardia's admirers credit him, among other things, with restoring the economy of New York City during and after the Great Depression. He is given credit for many massive public works programs. That's socialism, folks. Administered by his powerful parks commissioner, Robert Moses, which employed, I got my own problems with Robert Moses, but that's neither here nor there, which employed thousands of voters. The mayor's relentless lobbying for federal funds allowed New York to develop its economic infrastructure. So all those people who are, I know you guys listen to the corporate media owned by the billionaire elite class, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, Fox News, Newsmax, and all that other crap. There's nothing that Zohran Mamdani is proposing that is more radical than the greatest mayor in the history of not only New York City, but arguably the entire country of the United States, Fiorello LaGuardia, which is why everything is still named after the man 90 years later. Now, that being said, just because Zohran is a democratic socialist or whatever, does not mean he will be a good mayor. We have an example right across the border there in Chicago of somebody who claimed to be a leftist, but is one of the worst mayors I think anybody's ever seen, in Brandon Johnson, who is a complete clown. I did not think you could get worse than Lori Lightfoot. Somehow Brandon Johnson did it, and his 6% approval rating proves that he somehow has done it. So what all in all needs to be said to Zohran Mamdani is you have two choices. You can be Fiorello LaGuardia, and you can focus on rebuilding the working class, making life affordable, holding the rich elites accountable for raping and pillaging New York City, or you can be Brandon Johnson and be more concerned with bringing in as many immigrants as you can and feeding them with the taxpayers' money while everybody in New York City is, angry and starving and looking, scared of the Venezuelan gangs that are setting up shop in their community. It really is up to him. It really is up to him who he wants to be. One side you get to be Fiorello LaGuardia, and you get to have half the city named after you. The other half you get to be Brandon Johnson. And let me just tell you, there is no way Brandon Johnson is running for re-election. If he's running for re-election, that is political career suicide. That man will face the worst embarrassment any politician has ever faced in modern history of a major city if he runs for office again. So he better not do that. And so, Zohran, if somebody who's close to you is watching this, and I know they are, you have two choices. You could be Fiorello LaGuardia, the best mayor in American history, or you can be Brandon Johnson. You can focus on the working class. You can focus on workers. You can focus on holding the elites accountable for raping everybody. Or you can be just a soft, haven for illegal immigrants and sort of force yourself into a corner by trying to be everything to everybody. You can't be everything to everybody. Now, there are things that make me happy about things he said. He's personally said that Fiorello LaGuardia is one of his heroes, and that's a good thing. But he also did something as soon as he got elected that made me mad when he started talking about all these different immigrant groups that he's focused on, and that none of them were legacy black Americans. None of them were black Americans. And that's another thing that a lot of people on the left do that makes me mad. They start talking about people who built this country. Immigrants built New York City. No, they didn't. Legacy black Americans built it before they got here. The Statue of Liberty, if you look at her feet, has changed. The French gave us the Statue of Liberty to celebrate the end of slavery. Slavery for legacy black Americans. They didn't give us no Statue of Liberty for no immigrants. They gave it to it for us, for legacy black Americans. And so I fear that Zohran, him being an immigrant himself, though I will say LaGuardia was an immigrant as well. So, I'm not saying he has to turn out to be, he has to be bad or whatever just because, you know, his parents were immigrants, should I say, just because his parents were immigrants. LaGuardia, I'm talking about. LaGuardia's parents were immigrants. But it's important to understand what's important here and who's most important here. And so ultimately, I'm going to let the young man work and see what's going to happen. I have some faith that hopefully he will try to do the right thing and be more Fiorello LaGuardia than Brandon Johnson. As you heard in the intro as well, California approved Proposition 50, which allows California's Democratic-controlled legislature to override its independent redistricting commission and adopt a new congressional map for the next few election cycles. It could actually translate to 5 additional U.S. House seats for the Democrats from California, which will be significant in 2026. This is a part of the redistricting arm race between Trump and the Democrats. And the Democrats are striking back with vengeance. Also in Colorado approved an income tax increase on the higher earning households to fund meals for public school students. Again, this would have been a no-brainer 50, 60, 70 years ago during the New Deal, Great Society era of America. But post-Reagan, Americans have been brainwashed into thinking that doing things like, you know, feeding school children and making society work for the poor and the working class is somehow anti-Christian, anti-American. What? Everybody claims to be such a Christian, but then it comes time to start talking about SNAP. 60% of people on SNAP are children and elderly people. 20% are disabled people. And the overwhelming majority of the 20% who are not elderly, children, or disabled have jobs. They work at Walmart. They work at McDonald's. They work at places that we have allowed to pay so little that people can work full time and still not be able to eat. It's because our politicians let Walmart and let McDonald's and let these places get away with paying a substandard wage to their workers. And people say, well, that's supposed to be a teenager's job. It is not, especially not in this economy. They sent all the adult jobs overseas so that they could get richer. Remember? And they brought all the illegal immigrants in here to do other jobs, the other adult jobs, so that they could get richer. Remember? All that's left for a lot of working class people is McDonald's or Taco Bell or Walmart. That's it. And even still, you will not be able to afford your own apartment and to eat. Even with doing that. And so ultimately, the story of the election is that young people have come out and the Republicans have essentially did what the Democrats did after Obama, which is squander the opportunity they had to permanently convert a new generation of voters. Trump broke a lot of young people's hearts. The lesson that a lot of people got from 2024 was that the electoral map was changing, that because Trump did so well with younger people, that it was a symbol that younger people were going towards the Republicans. And what we're seeing now is that we're seeing young people go back to the Democrats because Trump broke their heart. Trump broke their heart. Obama broke a lot of people's hearts and they ended up going to Trump. Now Trump broke the other young people's hearts. Now they're going back to the Democrats. This is what happens when you have a two-party duopoly with two corporate parties owned and controlled by corporate interests. They don't have to do better. All they have to do is be a little bit better than the other party. That's it. Until we start opting out. Until we start opting out and holding these parties accountable for not being about nothing, they're going to keep doing this. All right, folks, when we come back, we're going black to Africa. Please stay with us here on WLTH 1370 AM, 92.7 in FM dial, the region's choice, the people's voice. This is Straight Out the Cannon with me, Scott Cannon. We'll be right back after these humans.